Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is HD StarCraft, and I'm here to bring you guys another Heart of the Swarm broadcast. We are now officially only a few weeks away now from the official launch of StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm. I'm so excited because I'm going to be the first one in line actually to get that game when it comes out. I already actually have a digital copy, but I'm just going to go out to the stores and get it physically as well. And if you guys haven't pre-ordered your Heart of the Storm copy yet, make sure to go ahead and get it. It's going to be so exciting when the game comes out again. It's going to be like the rebirth, if you will, of StarCraft 2. And we're going to have a bunch of new units and abilities coming out to the mainstream public for you guys to go ahead and try. It's going to be so exciting. Anyways, I'm going to be casting this game here today. It is going to be a red Terran player down in the bottom right-hand corner of Newkirk City. And his name is Baz. His opponent is going to be Liquid's the Little One, so it is going to be a Zerg versus Terran. And one thing I should go ahead and mention before this game gets started is there have been a couple of changes to Hellbats recently. They've gotten a bit of a nerf. You can't actually transform them between Hellion and Hellbat mode now until you actually get the upgrade. You can make Hellbats, but you can't actually transform them back and forth until you get that upgrade. There's been a couple of interesting changes with them, very slight modifications, but overall it does simply make Hellbats a little bit easier to play against if you're Zerg. You're not forced into going Roaches, for example, like you were before. But anyways, this is going to be a ZVT, and just wanted to let you guys know if you guys have any, or you guys watching any players playing Heart of the Swarm, and the games are really, really good. The replays are really cool and exciting. Feel free to have them send those replays into me at HDreplays@gmail.com. Of course, always checking to see any new replays that are coming out. And for now, I hope you guys are going to be happy watching a game with TLO. In fact, I've got a little bit of a replay pack here with the Little One, so I'll be casting a couple of his games here or there. And here we go. We actually have a command center coming up at the front door, and Baz is going to seal it off with a barracks, as he's got a refinery coming up in the background as well. Now, this is pretty interesting. He went for CC first, but he didn't actually throw it down at the natural, as you would expect most Terran players to do. Instead, he went ahead and made it over here at the ramp. Now, the Overlord is going to see that, obviously, and the Little One is going to know exactly what is going on, but I guess Baz was a little concerned about the possibility of the Little One rushing him with Zerglings, so he just wanted to play it safe rather than sorry, and now he's going to get his SCV inside. Now, he didn't see the third hatchery out there, but he is going to get into the main base here, and he's going to see the natural, or he just passed by the natural. So Baz can pretty much deduce at this point there is no Zergling rush coming for him, but just to make sure, he's also going to check the third hatchery, and he's going to see the hatchery there as well. So he's going to want to immediately lift off this command center once it becomes an orbital command, and land it down at the natural and start to get some intake going so that he can catch up to the Little One's economy. And for now, that seems to be the case of this game. Baz is actually going to throw down a bunker, though, and he's going to make that behind the mineral fields at the third, but the Little One's already on it. He senses something going on behind the fog of war, and he's going to send his Zerglings here. Now, unlikely this bunker is actually going to get up. In fact, the SCV wasn't even able to make it out of there, so we should see a cancellation of this bunker momentarily. Even though there were Marines in transit, there's really no way that they're going to be able to do any type of damage now that the bunker has fallen. And those Marines are gonna they're gonna hightail it back over to the Xel'Naga Tower and try to hold their position here at the middle of the map to prevent those Zerglings from encroaching over to Terran territory. Terran territory. Never really said that phrase before. A little bit of a tongue twister. But yeah, we do have a factory coming up from Baz right now, so it is likely he's gonna go into mech. Sometimes Terran players will even kind of play around with going right into Banshee as well, but given the fact that we've already seen a command center coming down, I'm thinking here we're going to see a pretty heavy mech-based build here, as Baz is now going to bring the factory over to the reactor, and he's going to start to pump out Hellions. Alright. And Hellion's obviously the fast mobile version of the Hellbat, the original version of the Hellbat, if you will. Still very, very dangerous against Zerg, especially Zergs that aren't prepared. They don't have queens, they don't have spine crawlers in position. They can find themselves taking a lot of early drone damage, but we do have the Little One here going for gases, and this seems to be the case of Zerg play nowadays. Zergs are obviously delaying their gas as much as possible in favor of getting as many drones out as they can. That just helps them obviously get, that just helps them get a little bit more. I'm trying to figure out how to mute myself here because I don't want to get a bunch of spam when I'm playing or when I'm casting. But anyways, Zergs now are getting obviously gas a little bit later so that they can go ahead and drone up a little bit more, getting a little more greedy. And that seems to be the way that Zerg plays nowadays against most races. Baz here does have his Hellions at the Xel'Naga Tower in the middle of the map. Overlord has made its way into the base, and I do apologize, we do have a starport coming out, in fact. Very quick starport, and he's not making medevacs out of it, he's actually making a Viking, which is really curious. Usually you don't really see Vikings this early on, unless he just wants to maybe make one just to snipe out Overlords, but usually when Terrans get the Viking, they get that before, you know, they go barracks, factory, starport, and get a Viking out in order to crush the Overlords in the early game. But this is a pretty late starport, since he went for, you know, a double expand before it. And so the Viking is going to come out now, but why? I don't know. You can obviously just use your Marines to kill off the Overlord at this point. And the Viking, I mean, yeah, it's going to be able to kill off the ones at the perimeter of the map and whatnot, but I don't think the little one really has that many. He's got one over here at the right-hand side, but, you know, that's about it. And Baz isn't, I don't know if this Viking's really going to pay off for itself, but hopefully the starport eventually will transform into making more useful units for the Terran forces. And, you know, what's really curious here is Baz is not only just going with, well, he does have a factory making Hellions, but it looks like he's going to transition right back down into standard bio, as he's got double engineering bay here, and we're probably going to be seeing the classic Wings of Liberty style, where you get a lot of bio, you get Marines, Marauders, you get medevacs, stim, and all those great upgrades, but you also have that factory transition into producing siege tanks, so you can have a little bit of mech in order to give your forces some of that artillery that it needs in order to push the Zerg forces back. And I think that's what Baz is going for here. The little one needs to scout. He does see the double NG bay, which is always a good indicator that bio is coming out. He also sees the medevac as well, so I think he's seen all he needs to see. And Overseer does a great job of seeing, and it is going to get pushed out of the way, but it does its job. And a second Overseer actually going to come in, so the little one's not taking any chances here. Really wants to figure out exactly, down to the dotting of the I's and the crossing of the T's, what is going on inside of Baz's base. And Baz is now going to pull back with some of his Hellions. Not too sure why. Maybe he's anticipating a drop or something. Not entirely sure. But the little one here does have a lot of roaches. He's actually expanded over here to the 4th location. And right now his army pretty much consists of roaches, which is, you know, not what you'd normally expect from the little one. But he's a pretty creative player. Roach is more of the conventional way to play, but I don't know if roaches actually are even that, they're not that good against bio in general, so I'm not too sure why the little one's focusing so heavily on roaches. He must feel like Baz is gonna go mech, but he's scouted the fact that there's all these engineering bays and whatnot. I'm not entirely sure what is going on. We have more barracks coming around in the back, so I mean, roaches at this stage are going to be alright, but eventually Baz is going to have a maxed out bio army, and that's when things get a little scary. Now, there are Hellbats coming in, and roaches are good against Hellbats, obviously. Meanwhile, in the middle of the map, the huge roach pack kills off all the Hellions at the Xel'Naga Tower, and then some. Meanwhile, whoa, that medevac was not able to make it out of harm's way. The Queen was able to finish it off, and now I guess the reason why the little one went for all these roaches is going for a roach timing attack, although his timing a bit late here because the +1/+1 hasn't finished yet. And now, while he's good against the Hellbats, not so great against the Marauders. And there's a bunker there as well, plus the narrow corridor is going to make it pretty hard for these roaches to really be effective at all. The roaches do retreat, end up killing off, I believe, a Hellion or something. And Viking now on the bottom end of the map, moving around, looking for more Overlords to kill. It's only killed one this entire game. And that's what I was saying before. I don't know if the Viking was really all that worth it, but it's always nice to have just to maintain that air supremacy against a Zerg who forgoes Mutalisks. And here we go. That Viking is actually going to fly over hostile infestors. And will the little one expend energy here? I don't know if it's actually even worth it. Probably not. I think he wants to save it for the attack at the front door. I think he's going to save most of his energy for a bunch of infested Terrans. And interestingly here, Baz is continuing to make some mech-based units out of that single factory. He's got a couple of Widow Mines. Fungal growth comes down instead of infested Terrans, and the fungal growth actually being pretty effective here because everything is clumped up, and the little one is really going to try to burst through, but I don't think he's got enough. He should have used the rest of his energy there to spit out some infested Terrans that might have been able to sway the battle. Mules are actually being called into service here, and just enough for Baz to make a hold at the pocket expansion. Meanwhile, a drop-in effect here at the hatchery is going to be able to finish off that hatch before it finishes. finish off the hatch before it finishes. And a bit of a chain fungal here to keep Baz's forces from retreating out of harm's way. And that last fungal should just about do it. No, not quite yet. A couple Marauders still alive. But a lot of intense action here in this game. Now, of course, the Terran has actually lost a little bit more than the little one. In fact, a lot more than the little one. You know, that battle for TLO went pretty well. He caught a lot of great chain fungals out. Now, of course, he didn't get the command center, he didn't get the SCVs, the heart of the Terran base, but he was able to do a lot of damage, a crippling blow to the Terran forces. And now the little one is transitioning into Hive with Hydra and Hydra speed. He's actually going to go for, you know, he's really sticking with this Roach Hydra army. And we see a little bit of this in Heart of the Swarm. Zerg players now saying, well, forget tier 3. Obviously, Hydra's, you can get the, you can actually get the speed and the Hydra range at layer now, not at Hive. And a lot of Zerg players are just saying, well, the only Hive unit I really need is, I guess, a couple of Vipers. And with Roach, Hydra, and Fester, it is a very strong composition. We'll see how good it is against this half bio, half somewhat a little bit of mech included in from Baz, and we're about to see right now. Now, of course, Blinding Cloud is going to be so deadly along with the fungal growth. I don't know if Baz has got enough to actually break this army, and he's going to go in regardless. There comes the fungal growth and the Blinding Clouds. Just so many crippling AoE effects on the Terran army. It cannot attack, it has to get into range, and somehow Baz has just enough forces, I think, to break through here. His infantry is upgraded at 2-2, but so is the little ones. And Baz, just having so many medevacs here, is going to be able to break through the Zerg line. But will it be enough to actually get towards this hatchery? There's more energy waiting from the Vipers and the Infestors, and a couple more fungals coming down, but the Terran army is well spread out. The drones are now under attack. The hatchery taking quite a bit of damage, and the hatchery is going to fall as well. The little one under duress. Reinforcements continuing to arrive, and Baz just made his statement. He is actually going to not get, I was going to say he was going to get 2 hatcheries, but there is no secondary hatchery down here. The little one was, I guess, wise to expand over to the perimeter expansions first, rather than the one down in the corner, knowing that if he loses the pocket, he will lose the one in the corner very quickly. Now he's going to move out with the Roaches and Hydras once again. Blinding Clouds coming down. The Hydras actually do not have group spines yet, so they don't have that crucial range upgrade, although they do have the speed finish first, which is a little bit, I think, more important than the range upgrade is. But we do now have Baneling Nest coming down, Greater Spire on the way. The little one realizes he probably will need to get to tier 3. Real tier 3, that's Hive tier 3, that is, you know, Brood Lords, Ultras, and whatnot, in order to stop this very powerful bio army fused in with a little bit of Hellbat mech, which really, guys, the Hellbat isn't actually a mech unit nowadays in Heart of the Storm, obviously, because it can be healed by medevacs too. So it's really the all-purpose, the all-around dominant Terran bio army. It's not just Marines and Marauders and medevacs. It's not just M&M. It is Marines, Marauders, medevacs infused with Hellbats. And the Hellbats, of course, they're biological now, so when they're in Hellbat form, they can be healed by the medevacs. And in the front lines, man, these are just ripping through. Well, there aren't any Zerglings, but they are very, very good against Hydralisks. In fact, the Hellbats are probably the best unit against Hydras that the Terran has in their arsenal right now. They do extra damage versus light, they do that AoE-based effect. And with medevac support, very hard for Hydras to break that, and that's why the little one has not just Hydras, but also Roaches included as well. But anyways, we do have the Terran army now moving in from Baz back at home, and he is looking so strong. Look at all the barracks he's got over here, and he's pushing in. He's preparing to take out the little one. He's actually going to try to get in position here. Now he's going to move in. Blinding Clouds are affecting his army, so he's got to move close, up close and personal against the Roaches and Hydras. Although he doesn't really have a problem with that because he's got Hellbats, and he's got a ton of medevacs healing here as well. The Zerg army once again has to pull back. The little one doesn't have an answer for this army composition, which is just ripping through his Roaches and Hydras he desperately needs to get. I feel like he needs to get the Brood Lords and maybe even a couple of Ultras as well. Another hatchery is going to go down. That is just punishing as Baz continues to deal obscene amounts of damage against the Zerg army and the Zerg bases. This hatchery has had the evacuation sirens blaring for the last few minutes, and all the drones are wise to scurry out of the way. Of course, they can't really make up their mind where else to make their new home, but yeah, that hatchery is going to fall, and now Baz is in a very dominant position against the little one. Although reinforcements are being picked off here, the little one, clever here, is he's going to move in to intercept the reinforcements, and he is going to be able to do just that. There is one Widowmine still underground, but that isn't going to pose much of a threat. Meanwhile, on the production tab, we do have Corruptors coming out for the little one, who's desperately trying to get out some Brood Lords. He's got a few right now in his army, but not enough to make a significant difference. And really, Baz is just in control of this game right now. He has everything going for him. I'd like to actually see him to get one more expansion if possible, and here we go. Baz is going to move into the pocket where there is a Roach there, but he's got a couple of Marauders, so he shouldn't be in too much trouble. Meanwhile, in the middle, Baz is trying to bait the Roaches and Hydras into the core of his army. Very smart, because any Zerg player knows that, well, any, you know, StarCraft player knows that when you're in that position, you're not paying attention, you can lose a big chunk of your army. So pretty clever moves right there from Baz, who's now going to move in with 2 medevacs, and I think he's planning for a drop here into the main. Yeah, it looks like he's going to bypass the pocket expansion, and the only reason why players attack a Zerg player's main base is because typically that's where most of their infrastructure lies. But if you look at TLO's base right here, all he's got is, well, he's got some tech structures here, but he doesn't have everything. He doesn't have the Greater Spire, he doesn't have the Hive, he doesn't have most of his tech here. He's got some of it, and I guess TLO wants to do Baz a favor. I'm not too sure what's going on here, but I think TLO is just under so much duress. If you look on the minimap, there is attacks happening all over the place right now. The little one's going to lose another hatchery. He did end up losing his Hydralisk Den. He's going to clean up the drop, but the multi-pronged attack from Baz doing quite a bit of damage, although Baz is going to lose a lot of his medevacs here because he flew him into an infested army, and it looks like the last medevac is going to go down in the background. Meanwhile, these Marauders coming around the backside. Now, did Baz overextend? He did a great multi-pronged attack, but losing about, I'd say, half of his medevacs in the process it's gotta hurt him quite a bit. Now, he does have quite a large amount of medevacs still alive. He's got 9, but nowhere near the fleet that he had before, and that, I think, could be a difference maker. Yeah, he did kill off quite a few hatcheries, and he did force the little one to destroy his own Hydralisk Den, but somehow, actually, the little one actually still has another Hydralisk Den, so it's okay. Losing one, not a big deal. He's got some redundant systems in place, but here we go. We've got some Widowmines coming around the back. They're gonna try to burrow down, and they are gonna get underground, but I think TLO will be okay here. He's just gotta make a Spore Crawler, and he'll be able to get rid of those 2 pesky units, although he could bring in an Overseer as well, and that'll do the job. Trying to clear the field first with the frontal Roach. Meanwhile, Vikings coming in here, attempting to engage the Broodlord army and whittle it down, but it gets fungal growth, and most of the Vikings are going to fall. Too many Hydras here, and I don't think Baz, he can't be feeling all that comfortable now. He realizes that many Broodlords are up in the skies, so he's going to attempt to go for another backstab attack, and that is exactly, I feel like, what he needs to do. If he's facing up against this tier 3 army, it's very hard to go head to head with it. Continue to attack the sides and the perimeters and prevent the expansions from going up. Although the little one this time is going to be in position to intercept, although he's not going to pursue. I think that's a mistake. He's going to allow Baz to medevac and boost his fleet out of here, or his army out of here, which I think is a little bit of a mistake. And he's going to bring his army back home. So yeah, this Marine Marauder Corps here is going to be allowed to stick around, and they can prevent another hatchery yet again, and that's exactly what Baz is going to do. He's smart. He knows how to exploit a Zerg player here. And speaking of exploitation, man, he just finished Drilling Claws, but the most critical thing of all that he's going for now is the nuclear missile. So in a moment here, we could have nuclear missiles raining down. Meanwhile, we have a bunch of Widowmines underground at the corridor, at the choke. Very smart play from Baz to prevent the Zerg player from going through the, from path A to path B. He's going to have to go around this building in order to get in position. Meanwhile, the Hellbat, the Marines and Marauders are going to drop, and this time they find the Hive at the natural. And I don't know what the little one's going to do about this. Most of his army is out of position. He's going to lose the Greater Spire. He needs to bring his forces back, but most of his forces are very slow now that he's transitioned into Broodlords. So he's going to rely on his Hydras coming back here, but he loses the Greater Spire, does save the secondary Spire, and transforms it into a new Greater Spire. And in the meantime, he was able to finish off some of the Widow Mines at the corridor as well. So he does have an Overseer in position, allowing him to grant vision over the hidden units. I'm surprised actually Baz isn't sending in the Vikings to snipe off that Overseer. It's really in front of most of the Infestors, and if you can snipe off the Overseer, the Widow Mines become wildly effective once again. But anyways, double medevac coming around the backside here. This game's really starting to intensify. I think in the next few minutes we could have the victor. The nuclear missiles have, I believe, finished up. One nuclear missile is ready, but the Ghost, do they have Cloak? They do. And here comes nuclear missile from this Ghost right here. Most of the Zerg army, I don't know if, yeah, he finishes it off. He gets the Overseer in position, and the little one now pounding his way through with a swarm-like army of Hydras, Brood Lords, Infestors, and Queens. He's going to try to rampage his way through the Terran army, but Baz does have a drop. In effect, he's going to be able to kill off one of the hatcheries. Meanwhile, he's Widow Mined this expansion at the top side, so Baz isn't out of the game yet. Even though he's going to lose a lot of map control here, he's going to get a lot of his side attacks. He's going to find a lot of his side attacks with quite a bit of success, as he's killed off two hatcheries basically. And now if he can just save his main base from going down from this massive army, then we'll see what happens. These Widow Mines are just ripping through the drones though. Look at the Widow Mine kills already. This one alone has 10 kills. And meanwhile, the Marines and Marauders continuing to poke and prod and kill off reinforcements and drones. Baz is rendezvousing most of his new units over to this side. I think he's going to rely on his Ghost here in order to pick off the Zerg army. Oh my god, the Ghost, it's not seen by the Overseer. The Overseer needs to get in range. The Ghost has the nuke, and it is coming down. Oh my god, but the Ghost gets killed off in the last second as TLO sends in the Overseers to find the Ghost. Wow, that was absolutely situation critical, because the little one was taking quite a big gamble there with most of his forces, all of his forces off creep, and his Brood Lords being so slow as they are. If the little one had not found that Ghost and taken it out and sniped it down, his entire army could have gone down to that nuclear missile. That was a huge risk. And I think it just paid off, because now, not showing any fear or any signs of retreating, is going to continue pushing in. There are some new Ghosts here. Do they have a nuclear missile? They do. Will they launch one inside their own home? I don't think they have a choice. They've got to shoot a nuke here. They're using a couple of snipes. That means they won't have energy for a cloak, and so we probably won't see a nuke. Although the Ghost sniper rounds did quite a bit of damage to the Brood Lord army, and now most of the Brood Lords are falling back. Meanwhile, the Marines and Marauders continuing to shred the interior of the Zerg base, just gutting it inside out. Widow Mines continuing to detonate here and there over at the top hand expansion. But if you ask me, and it's in a base race situation, I feel like the little one might have a bit more of an edge here. I think he's got a slightly bigger army, and he is just going to be able to rip through the innards of the Terran main base. And without the barracks, the factories, and all of the starports and the critical tech production facilities, how in the world is Baz going to produce any new units? He's actually making a bunch of barracks over here in the top right hand side, but it has been scouted by a Hydralisk. A rogue Hydra is loose. And even if these barracks finish, I doubt Baz's ability to actually produce anything. He's out of money. And he's lost most of his orbitals too, so he cannot mule up. I don't know. This is getting pretty close though. Most of the Zerg infrastructure in the inside has been depleted as well. These Marauders are hunting right now. They get caught by Infestors though, and that might spell the end for Baz. Yeah, that's it. Baz has been defeated, and he leaves the game. He realized, hey, that was the end of my army, and I don't have anything left. I'm at 23 supply. What else can I use? And I obviously cannot win this game against those Hydras. So actually, it ended up being really, really close. But a great game right there by Baz and the little one. Hope you guys enjoyed. And once again, if you guys enjoyed these videos, make sure to subscribe to me. I'm at YouTube and Facebook and Twitter at HD StarCraft. And for now, this is HD. I'm signing out. I'll see you guys later with another StarCraft 2 cast.